Let's talk about the Steelers, their entire offseason, free agency, mixed in with the NFL draft, and one of the most bizarre things that happened with the Steelers in the NFL draft. We know what happened in free agency. They wanted to re-sign Justin Fields. He walked away. He went to the New York Jets. Russell Wilson, they essentially pushed him out the door. They didn't want any parts of Russell Wilson anymore after they lost their last 5 games, including that playoff game against the Baltimore Ravens. Russell Wilson, in my opinion, was not a bad quarterback, but they were looking for more. Apparently, it was some smoke behind the scenes with Russell Wilson and Arthur Smith. They didn't get along very well. Arthur Smith reportedly wanted to stick with Justin Fields. Mike Tomlin overruled it. They went with Russell Wilson. Regardless, they made the NFL playoffs. They went one and done against the Baltimore Ravens. They still have a huge hole at the quarterback position. Many people are saying that they have a handshake agreement with Aaron Rodgers. As I record this video, Aaron Rodgers is still a free agent. So that's how I'm going to attack the Steelers. Their current quarterbacks on their roster: Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, Skylar Thompson. Instead of going off with the first round pick, let's talk about the Will Howard selection. With the 185th pick, the Steelers went with Will Howard, quarterback out of Ohio State. Will Howard, to me, he was a solid quarterback at Ohio State. He transferred to Ohio State. He has a big arm. He's a big quarterback, 6'4", 235 pounds. That doesn't mean that he's going to be a star quarterback for the Steelers. One thing that we haven't seen Mike Tomlin do so far in his long career, and that's develop a quarterback, because he always had Big Ben. He inherited Big Ben. And it's not me saying that Coach Tomlin's a bad head coach, because he's not. But I look at Arthur Smith. He hasn't developed a quarterback either. Arthur Smith helped Ryan Tannehill turn his career around when he was the offensive coordinator with the Titans. But look at what they did. They ran the football and they had good wide receivers on the outside, especially with A.J. Brown. I don't hate the selection of Will Howard. But I look at Will Howard, you could have got a better quarterback over Will Howard. And I'm not saying that you should have went out there and went with Shedeur Sanders, even though I'm big on Shedeur Sanders. They could have went with a different quarterback. Shedeur Sanders did make sense to many people to come over with the Steelers and for them to draft him. Out of all the reports that came out, he had a strong meeting with Coach Tomlin and the Steelers for 5 hours straight. The problem is this: he can't move inside and outside the pocket effectively enough. The one thing with Coach Tomlin, and he said this since Big Ben retired, he wanted a quarterback with mobility. So on that standpoint, Shedeur Sanders, unfortunately, didn't make sense. They go with Will Howard. He can move around. He had 35 passing touchdowns and 10 interceptions. You may say that he could be a superstar quarterback in the NFL with his intangibles. He is wildly inaccurate. And he's coming over from a stacked Ohio State team. They had a top offensive line, not just one, but 2 very good running backs in Travion Henderson and Jonkins. 2 amazing wide receivers in Emeka Egbuka, and the same with Jeremiah Smith. I'm not trying to knock Will Howard, but I look at the situation that he's entering right now. He's not ready to start day one. Maybe down the line, he could be a starting quarterback for this organization, but he has a lot to work on in this game. With the 185th pick, it's a little rich for me, but you get your developmental quarterback. We'll see what happens. I don't hate the pick, because if this was Jalen Milroe, I'll be shaking my head and I'll be saying, why? Jalen Milroe just can't pass the football effectively enough at the NFL level. I give it a C+ pick with Will Howard. I don't hate the pick. It's just one of those situations you could have got a better player. I'm just going to leave it at that with the quarterback position. The Steelers, they know what they're walking themselves into. They better sign Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Rodgers goes out there and he retires, they have to go out there and make a move for Kirk Cousins. That's the situation I see the Steelers in right now. And I am worried about Aaron Rodgers. I still think he can sling the football around in the right situation. Just 2 years ago, he had a torn Achilles injury. If he goes down, Mason Rudolph will be the starting quarterback. But that's enough for the quarterback position with the Steelers. I want to talk about the real positives that they did in the NFL draft. I know I sound negative right now, but with their first round pick, the 21st pick, they went with Derek Harmon. Very good defensive tackle out of Oregon. They knocked it out the park. You'll have him playing alongside Cameron Hayward. And rest in peace to his mother. Shortly after he got drafted, for the ones that don't know, she was on life support. She sadly passed away. But she got the news that her baby boy got drafted, and I love to hear that. I hate that she died. That's a terrible situation. But when I look at Harmon, one of the best defensive tackles in college. Mason Graham was phenomenal. He had a higher pressure rate than Mason Graham. He had 5 sacks on the season. He's 6'4", 313 pounds. And his pressure rate and his sack production, they're both amazing. He's not even known for doing that. He's known for stopping the run. The Steelers ran into a problem last year. Now, statistically, they still had a top rushing defense in the NFL. They went against the Baltimore Ravens. They ran the football down their throat with Derrick Henry over and over and over again. They had certain Steeler players basically on their knees, tapping out the game, saying, I need water, I'm tired. And they were thin at the defensive tackle position, at the edge rushing spot. You now bring in Harmon to play alongside Cameron Hayward, and more than just that, he can be the Cameron Hayward replacement. I look at Keanu Benton. He's a very good defensive tackle. He doesn't have that superstar X factor. Derek Harmon, he does. And I think that he's going to come in. He's going to be a very good player long-term with the Steelers. They knocked it out the park with this selection. I give it an A+ in the first round. You now have a defensive line that consists of Keanu Benton, Cameron Hayward, Logan Lee, Dean Lowry, TJ Watt at the edge rushing position, mixed in with Alex Highsmith. You're getting a 2-1 with Derek. Can get to the passer, can stop the run. Phenomenal draft pick. And the one thing the Steelers have done in the last 2 years, they have focused on the trenches. I gave him an A+ last year in the first round when they went with Troy Fautanu. Then you had Mason McCormick later on in the NFL draft, and the same with Zach Frazier. They're building their team through the offensive line and through the defensive line. I love that. With the 83rd pick, this was my favorite selection for the Steelers. Even though I love Derek Harmon, they got Caleb Johnson. I thought Caleb Johnson was going to go early in the second round. He slides to the third round to the Steelers. Running back from Iowa State, he reminds me so much of DeMarco Murray. And DeMarco Murray had a fumbling issue. Caleb Johnson does not. The one thing Arthur Smith wants to do, and we saw this last year, he loves running those toss plays. And for the life of me, he kept running those toss plays over and over again with Najee Harris. Najee Harris was very slow coming out of the backfield. He's no longer with this roster. And at points in times last year, you'll look at Jaylen Warren. You'll say, hey, Jaylen Warren's a better running back than Najee Harris in terms of open field ability and vision and just explosive plays. Najee Harris was a bowling ball in the open field. He's on the only average 3 to 4 yards a carry. Caleb Johnson, he has the ability to average 4.5 to 5 yards a carry. He can take a 50-yard run to the house. Najee Harris cannot do that. And they selected Najee Harris in the first round. That was a bad selection by the former general manager, Kevin Colbert. You're trying to squeeze more life out of Big Ben. Getting Caleb Johnson here with the 83rd pick, that's great value. He just had 1,537 rushing yards. He averaged 6.4 yards a carry. This is a great pick. Great vision, can take speed to the next level. And this is the most interesting part. Jaylen Warren can still come in and be that backup running back, be that rotational running back. Kenneth Gainwell, who is more so a rotational running back behind Saquon, his last year with the Eagles and the year before that with Philadelphia. He's now your third running back in your roster. All of a sudden, your running back room is now a strength. You can run this offense through your running backs, and you don't have to worry about throwing the football on 3rd and 1 because Najee Harris will get bottled up in the backfield. And no hate towards Najee Harris. He just did not have elite vision and elite speed. Caleb Johnson, he has that. And he comes over from a system, wide zone, toss plays, stretch plays. You can run that with him, and he can run in between the tackles. And the same thing can be said with Kenneth Gainwell. You can now pick up those easy yards, and it will help out Aaron Rodgers or whomever your quarterback will be for the future. So this was my favorite pick, even though I love Derek Harmon in the first round. The 123rd pick, you got Jack Sawyer, defensive end from Ohio State. Imagine Sam Hubbard with more strength and more speed. The athleticism is not there. He's not going to bend the edge. What you see TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith do when they get low and they bend the edge and they find running backs in the open field and they can hawk them down, you're not going to find that with Jack Sawyer. But if Jack Sawyer gets his hands on a running back like Derrick Henry, or if he can get his hands on a running back like Saquon, he can bring them down. He's an excellent tackler. And we saw this on the back half of the season with Ohio State when they went to that national championship run with Will Howard being the starting quarterback. Jack Sawyer was having moments where he was the best defensive player on the field. He's an amazing player coming out of Ohio State. Has dealt with injuries in the past. So coming out of high school, he was a top recruit. 9 tackles for loss, 9 sacks on the year. I don't expect for him to come in and to lead the Steelers in sacks. He may average 5 to 6 sacks a season, and that's okay. You add him to that defensive rotation that you have with Keanu Benton, that you have with Derek Harmon and Cameron Hayward. You bring him in. He should match up very well against teams like the Cleveland Browns, against teams like the Baltimore Ravens. Part of the reason why the Cleveland Browns defeated the Steelers, that Thursday night football game was a snowy game, they started to run the football with Jameis Winston. He was getting open in space. They started running the football with the running backs on a consistent basis. Having these defensive linemen, it's going to be hard as hell to get past them. Even if you are a quarterback, you better have elite speed like Lamar Jackson. And the Steelers, they game plan very well for Lamar Jackson every single year. Their offense just has to wake up. But I love this selection with Jack Sawyer. With the 164th pick, they selected Y.A. Black, defensive tackle out of Iowa. Run-stopping defensive tackle. 6'5", 317 pounds. He's a run stopper. Don't expect him to go out there and make a lot of plays on getting to the quarterback. He is known for stopping the run. That's going to be his main goal with the Steelers. Maybe they can develop him into being a very good pass rusher, but think of Larry Ogunjobi. That's who this player will be from Iowa. Very good pickup. I like the draft the Steelers had. I just wish they had more clarity at the quarterback position. That's it. That's all I wish. Right now, they don't have that, but they have the right pieces on the offensive end. And this is where we get into the real positives with the Steelers. Their offensive line is young. It's a lot of young, rich talent here. The offensive line coach, we'll see if he can truly develop them. Rodgers is still at the left tackle position. So far, he hasn't worked out. I'm still holding out faith that he will be a good, consistent starting left tackle. Usually, it takes offensive linemen up to 3 to 4 years to fully develop. Hopefully, that's the case with Rodgers. Isaac at the left guard position, he's a very good run blocker, very good pass protector. I like him a lot. Zach Frazier was a very good center last season. He was not supposed to be a starting center. Herbig was supposed to be the starting center. He hurt his shoulder. They went to Zach Frazier, was phenomenal in his rookie season. Mason McCormick at the right guard position, a very good right guard. And Troy Fatanu got injured early in his rookie season. Only played a couple of snaps, but no snaps he played, he looked very good. This is a young offensive line. You protect whoever that quarterback is, and they can run block very well with a scheme to it that Arthur Smith has. With Caleb Johnson, the Steelers' offense could be in a very good place. I can still see them trying to go out there and run the football and stop the run. That's the same Mike Tomlin statement over and over again. I'm just focusing in on the draft here. Very strong draft to follow that mold and to follow that identity. And if I'm the Steelers, in the preseason, let Mason Rudolph start off. Let him throw the football to those big weapons, to those second and third string wide receivers. Bring in Will Howard. Get him as much playing time as possible. Give him as many reps as possible in practice and try to develop him. The upside is there. Once again, if I came out like I'm hating on Will Howard, I'm really not trying to. I want to see every quarterback succeed and every player that's entering the NFL fully succeed. But he needs a lot of work in his accuracy. And the way to help out with that is letting him play more and more in practice, especially against players like Minkah Fitzpatrick and Joy Porter Jr. And I look at the secondary with the Steelers before I go back to the offensive end. When I look at their secondary, Darius Slay. Rotational corner, that's fine. As a true number 2, I'm concerned because he is older. The Steelers have done this before with Patrick Peterson, with Joe Hayden. If he's a rotational guy, if he's that veteran leader in the locker room, that's a great fit. And I look at it from this standpoint. Joy Porter Jr., he's a true number 1. Let Corey be that number 2. And if Corey's dealing with injuries, then you slide in Darius Slay for a couple weeks. For a couple weeks. And you let him go out there and match up with some of those wide receivers. But that press man coverage, it may not suit Darius Slay at this stage of his career. But you have depth behind him. Benny Bishop. Miles Killebrew at the safety position. You can move him around in goal line situations. And you have Brandon Echols at the nickel cornerback position. The defense is looking very good. I'll give the Steelers that. And their defense was very good last season. It just came down to them being fatigued as the season went on. They didn't have the right wide receivers on the outside. They didn't have a second-round pick. I would definitely include this in their draft grade. They made that second-round pick, and they turned that to the Seattle Seahawks and said, give us DK Metcalf. 5 years, $150 million. A true bona fide wide receiver. You don't have to go out there and develop him. He's going to stick around for the next 5 years. A great wide receiver. Now you have a 1-2 punch at the wide receiving position. You have those wide receivers, an offensive line, a very good young running back in Caleb Johnson, work off of play action, and get the football to these wide receivers in space. That should make life easy on any quarterback that you have. So they're building something special here for whoever the quarterback's going to be. I know it may be Aaron Rodgers, but like I said, I'm attacking this video like it's the quarterbacks on the roster, like it's Mason Rudolph, Skylar Thompson, Will Howard. But I love the fact that they got aggressive. When they went on that losing streak last year, George Pickens went down with a hamstring injury, and when he came back, he didn't look too good. He had some bad games, especially that game against the Cincinnati Bengals. George Pickens, he needs to mature, and he's a true number one. You have two number one wide receivers now that can take the top off the defense. They operate at the same levels of the field. This is the interesting part. DK Metcalf has played in the slot before, not on a consistent basis. But go back and look at that Patriots game last year with Geno Smith. They put that man inside the slot. He got two huge bomb plays over the top, and they went for touchdowns. And he can separate. He's a video game character come to life. You have him and George Pickens that can beat man coverage. If you run that cover 2 man, you now have Calvin Austin III at the third wide receiving position, slot wide receiver. He can win one-on-one situations. And look at what he was able to do last year. He came down with some tough catches from Russell Wilson. Calvin Austin III really developed as the season went on as being a reliable wide receiver. 548 receiving yards, 4 receiving touchdowns. He averaged 15 yards a catch. He did that while being the number 2 wide receiver. Imagine what he can do in single coverage every single week inside that slot. And don't sleep on Roman Wilson. No, he did not look good in rookie training camp, and he missed all of his rookie season, dealing with some injuries. But I look at Roman Wilson as a number 4 wide receiver. There's some upside there. The wide receiving core is stronger than it was last year. The offensive line, they should be in a better spot than they were last year. They're healthier. They're younger. And I like the running back room. I have more confidence in this running back room than I had last year with Najee Harris. It was so many times last year to where I was saying, hey, just get Jaylen Warren the football and get Najee Harris off the field. And it's not because Najee Harris is just this horrible running back. The Steelers needed explosive plays, and you weren't going to get that out of Najee Harris. He had 3 games in a row where he looked very good. Then he fell off a cliff. He was never able to go out there and be that true generational running back. And Caleb Johnson, he may not be generational. But if he can just go out there and get some explosive plays and help out the quarterback in certain situations, you will be okay. And another thing I want to bring up with Caleb Johnson, since it is my favorite pick for the Steelers here, pass protection, he was good. Don't sleep on him in his pass protection. He was able to go out there and block some linebackers that are blitzing at the college level. And I know college is different from the NFL. But if he already has that in his back pocket, you can keep him on the field for all 3 downs. I still think the key to victory here with the Steelers, Caleb Johnson, Jaylen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell, in that order. Rotate those running backs. Rotate that room. You go against a tough physical football team. You need a bowling ball to go downhill. Go with Jaylen Warren. He can run some people over. He has that pop to his game. You want to run that wide zone against a team that doesn't have speed linebackers and their edge rushers are a bit slow, go with Caleb Johnson. If you just need overall good goal line production, you're 2 to 3 yards out, both your running backs are gassed, go with Kenneth Gainwell. Omar Khan, very good for agency. Very good NFL draft. I'll give it to the Steelers. I like the draft. I give it an A- for the entire offseason so far. And we're still waiting on the decision from Aaron Rodgers. When he decides to sign or retire, I'll talk about him. But right now, the Steelers, they're in a good spot. Now, this portion of the video is talking about next year here. The Steelers have a lot of compensatory picks next year. You may ask yourself, why am I talking about compensatory picks and why am I talking about next year's draft class that's 365 days away? That is true. The quarterback class next year is supposedly better. We'll see how those quarterbacks develop. You have Arch Manning out of Texas. You have the quarterback in Nico, went from Tennessee. He's now part of UCLA. I doubt that a team may want to touch him right now, how the NIL thing went down, but we'll see. And you have Drew Allard, plays for Penn State. All those quarterbacks are projected to be very good next season. The Steelers could use some of those compensatory picks and move up in the first round for a quarterback. They rarely move up in the first round. The last time they moved up in the first round for a player, to my knowledge, it was Devin Bush many years ago. His rookie season, he was phenomenal. After that, towards ACL, wasn't the same. Regardless, you need to have an answer at the quarterback position. But those compensatory picks they have next year, they didn't trade any of those picks. They've kept that under wraps. And Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin in the scouting department, they have been at a lot of Penn State games scouting Drew Allard. Just be on lookout for that. But the current state that they're in right now, it seems like they're building for the future. At the same time, they're trying to win right now. It's one of those situations where the Steelers, and this organization has never done this, they're not rebuilding, but they have the right pieces in play. Get the quarterback position down. I'm going to also say this. I don't know what the hell the front office is doing. Contact TJ Watt. Let him know. The team is best when you're on the field. You need to stick around for the rest of your career. Be a Steeler for life. Give that man $40 million a year if he wants it. He's worth it. Give him a 2 to 3 year deal. You're not paying a quarterback anyway. Quarterbacks take majority of the money. I know it's one of the highest paid defenses in the NFL. It still may be the highest paid defense in the NFL. 2 years ago, the Steelers were. Cameron Hayward only has a couple more years left on his deal. More than likely, he's going to retire, and he's not slowing down just yet. Keep TJ Watt around. Keep Alex Highsmith around. And that's another thing. You have Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt. Behind both of those players is Nick Herbig. He was able to come in last year, 5.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. He came in, he was like a missile coming off the edge. Forced fumbles, tackles for loss, very good rotational pass rusher. The infrastructure the Steelers have, I like it. But let me know in the comment section below how you feel about this team so far and how do you feel about the NFL draft and overall their free agency period. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.